Well, good morning, everybody, and thank you so much for tuning on in to our Valley News Now desk this morning. We've got a pretty gloomy day on our hands. We've got a first alert weather day as well, tracking that dense fog that you're seeing over on our Skycam at the Red River Valley Fairgrounds. And one more time, thank you so much for joining us here on the Valley News Now desk. My name is Alex Larson. So again, we're going to kick things off talking about that and just that. What is going on outside? So I'm going to get my screen ready to share with you quickly here, and we'll break that down momentarily. We're also going to get a check of road conditions as well, just because a little sketchy out there, okay? So here I am on the Valley News Live website. 26 degrees we're sitting at in Fargo right now. As we can see, very cloudy out, and it's going to continue to be cloudy for pretty much the entire day until we get foggy with a freezing drizzle, 7 o'clock to about 10 o'clock tonight. First alert weather day, that dense fog, patchy fog during your morning commute, low visibility, most likely in the Red River Valley and eastern North Dakota. So our temperature trend, this is interesting here. So check that out. Right now, our average high is about 18 degrees. We're sitting well above that. Looks like we dipped down at about the 10th. We'll look at that in just a minute, but this is super promising to see. I mean, at least for me, this was great to see that we are above average. Clicking on our 11-day planner, you can see our high for today, 31. Tomorrow, high of 27, low of 21. Wednesday, high of 32, low of 19. Check that out. We are pretty, and there's that 10th is 17. That's when we dip down in that temperature average chart that I was just showing you there. But you can see it, honestly, not looking horrible out there. This is great to see in early January, first full week of 2026. Pretty promising. We're going to click on these roads and see what we got going on outside for your morning commute. We're seeing a few problem areas. So 210 from Wahpeton to Fergus. Let's see. We can't really get a picture, but you can see here, if we hover over this, it says light compacted snow on the roadway. Visibility is a half mile or less. Got that travel alert for you here. And that's going to cover Highway 10. That'll be from Detroit Lakes all the way to Fargo, continuing on to Rodchert, Park Rapids. So even Park Rapids, let's click here. I know that's a little bit out of our viewing area, but we've got a completely covered road, ice on the roadway. Looks like Fargo to Detroit Lakes. We're in that travel alert. Light slush on the roadway from Detroit Lakes to Lake Park. You can kind of check that out there. We're going to head up north as well, is kind of where we're seeing more of a problem area around that East Grand Forks, Crookston area. Highway 2, check that out. Some snow, ice on the roads there, slush. And you can see light slush on the roadway, partially covered. South of Crookston on 75. Let's see what's going on. Ice on the roadway. Other way south, southeast, yeah. We're going to have ice on the roadway there as well. And even when you head out of Crookston on Highway 2, these pictures will show you that slush out on the roadway. Can make travel a little tricky this morning. Heading on over to North Dakota. We can see we got a little bit of color. I mean, the western part of the state's looking pretty good, but unfortunately, we are in this part of the state, right? So Fargo, from Fargo south to the South Dakota border, we're looking at completely covered slushy roadways, wet roadways. North till about Hillsboro, we're going to continue that those wet roadways until we get a little bit north of Hillsboro. That's when we're going to run into some partially covered icy roads. So that's going to be north of Grand Forks. Looks like it clears up a little bit on 29 as you continue on to the Canadian border. But as we look out west, this light blue, this teal kind of looking color around the Devil's Lake, Minnewacan, and Candu, Langdon area, that's going to be frosty, completely covered frosty roads or partially covered frosty roads. So that can make travel pretty tricky as well as we go south of Devil's Lake over to New Rockford, Carrington, Cooperstown, Findlay. We're also going to be seeing those frosty or partially covered frosty roads. South as we get towards Jamestown, partially covered icy roads. That frost can turn it to ice pretty quick. I-94, wet roads until we get a little bit east of Valley City. We're going to see some partially covered icy roads, then back to wet roads, and then same story, copy and paste as we get to Jamestown and then west of Jamestown. As we look on over to the Ransom County area, though, Lemoore County, we can see some partially covered icy roads here. Enderlin, Litchville, Marion, Lemoore, Lisbon, even Milner on Highway 13 over towards Winemere. As you head on over from Milner, Gwenner area over to the interstate, you're going to be seeing partially covered icy roads. So that's definitely something you're going to want to be aware of this morning, just to make sure everything goes as planned. You get to your destination safely. Everybody gets there safely. If you got to get to work, make sure you're giving yourself plenty of time this morning to get where you need to be. And remember, we are in January. Just because your road is green, if you're over near Lidgerwood heading to Hankinson and your road's green, does that mean set your cruise control at 65? Absolutely not. You're going to want to use your winter driving skills and continue to be weather aware. And our First Alert Storm Team works very hard to keep you in the loop, up to date on everything you need to know weather-wise. That's going on outside your front door. And they update this app 24/7 to make sure that you know what you're getting into as soon as you get outside. So again, great tool to have. It's free in the App Store. No matter if you got an iPhone or an Android, we can keep you up to date on everything that's happening there. I want to move on to our news portion of this segment. The Secret Service and Cincinnati police are investigating an apparent incident at the home of Vice President JD Vance. Here's a video from that scene there. Officers and agents responding to the home in East Walnut Hills overnight. They were on scene for several hours. It's not yet known exactly what happened here, but this video does show some damage to some of the house's windows. Police do say they got a suspect related to the incident, but they didn't really provide any further details. Not clear right now if that person is already in custody or if they are, what they're being charged with. Secret Service says a statement will likely be released later today. Vice President Vance was in Cincinnati last week, but he left the city Sunday afternoon. It's unknown right now if anybody else was home at the time of this happening. And happening Wednesday, the House Oversight Committee will hear from 3 Minnesota representatives who have, quote, sounded the alarm on and investigated fraud in Minnesota's social services programs. The 3 testifying will be Representative Kristen Robbins, Representative Walter Hudson, Representative Marion Rickon. That's going to be at 9 a.m. Wednesday again. Additionally, the chairman of the House Oversight Committee, James Comer, has invited Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and Attorney General Keith Ellison to testify before the committee. That's going to happen on February 10th. And happening today, Governor Tim Walz is expected to make an announcement about his political future. That's going to be later this morning. Governor Walz is holding a news conference at 11 a.m. Several sources indicating he's likely going to drop out of the 2026 race for Minnesota governor. Walz has been facing pretty heavy criticism from President Trump and Republican opponents over his handling of the state's recent Medicaid fraud cases. Valley News Live will bring you the latest on that meeting. That's going to be in your evening shows. So that'll be, if we've got that news by noon, we of course will get that out to you. I'm sure we'll be sending push notifications your way as well as those details continue to come in. And Minnesota lawmakers are condemning President Trump after he shared a video on social media alleging Governor Tim Walz is behind the assassination of former House Speaker Melissa Hortman. Walz called this, quote, dangerous, depraved behavior. If you remember, Hortman and her husband were killed in their Brooklyn Park home last June. Vance Belter faces federal murder charges and pled not guilty in August. Hortman's kids are asking President Trump to remove the post, saying it promotes a, quote, false narrative. And happening today, 3 Fargo volunteer commissions are on the chopping block. Fargo City Commission is going to vote on a recommendation to dissolve the Human Rights, Arts and Culture, and Native American commissions. Mayor Tim Mahoney says the move is part of a broader effort to streamline city operations. The goal is to reduce the amount of staff time required to administer volunteer committees. City states it remains committed to all the goals of all 3 commissions. Staff and city commissioners will manage these priorities going forward, but community members could also form independent organizations, they say. Well, that's about all I got for you here on this Monday morning, our first full week of 2026. Everybody's back to school, back to work, back to the grind today. And remember to download that VNN News app so we can send you those push notifications. If you're curious on what that announcement with Governor Tim Walz is, I know a lot of folks are. We'll be sending you a push notification as that news comes in. I know a lot of people are back to work, so this is a great tool to have to be able to be in the know with everything that we've got going on in our newsroom, and we can let you know right then and there what we're seeing. We'll send that push notification to your phone, and you'll be able to get those details right away. Again, that's all I got for you here on this Monday morning. I will see you back here tomorrow. I hope you have a great first full week of 2026. See you then.